Hey everyone, it is Sunday, August 3rd, 2025, as I am doing this audio vlog, if you will. And it is 12:12 p.m. Pacific time, 12:12 p.m. Pacific time. And I can tell you that this past week was very interesting, very positive in a way for me, and I'll get into that in a moment. But I can also say with confidence that 2 weeks from tomorrow, things get back to semi-normal. Now, for those of you that have been following me for a long time, since the beginning, you know what that means. And for those of you that are new, let me kind of explain really quickly. You see, I live with the matriarch, and the matriarch is a preschool teacher. Long story short, they get off around the first or second week of June. And basically the first or second week of June when they get off, that week is unpredictable as to when they get off work and come home. And thus is the reason why I say that the first 2 weeks back for them starting in 2 weeks from tomorrow, basically on the 18th, that's what I'm talking about by saying things will be back to semi-normal, because basically these first 2 weeks back for them, and the last 2 weeks in August, serve in a similar fashion as the last week in June. Basically, you never know when they're going to get off work and thus be back home. So basically, that's what I mean by semi-normal. But I can also say that within a month from tomorrow, or a month from this Tuesday, things will be back to normal, basically back to regular scheduling. But here's what's interesting though. It may not be as convoluted or conflicting as it once was. Because as I said, this past week was very interesting for me, to say the least. And the reason I say it was very interesting for me is because my birthday was on July 25th. And I guess you could say this past week, up till Wednesday at least, was an extension of my birthday, because that was when, this past Wednesday that is, when I finally got most of the gifts that were heading my way. Now normally we would get together for birthdays, no matter whose birthday it was. Normally we would try to get together, at least on the weekend, to basically, have dinner, maybe go to a movie, or at least have dinner, and that's it. Well, this year was a little bit more different. This year, basically, we couldn't do that due to the fact that a lot of things are changing professionally and personally for all of us. Professionally and personally for all of us, things were changing. So that couldn't be done. But needless to say, I was able to have a decent birthday. But I also ended up getting a special extra gift the next day. Because you see, along with finally getting the last of the gifts heading my way this past Wednesday, along with getting those gifts, those last of those gifts I should say, I also went online on Facebook through my MetaQuest 3S, believe it or not, my MetaQuest 3S, went online on the Facebook page, saw that on one of the Newman Neighborhood Watch pages, one called the Funnier Neighborhood Watch page, whatever I don't know why they call it that, but anyway, I went there, and somebody had uploaded a picture they had taken of a "We're hiring" sign for Starbucks. Because what's going on is they're going to be bringing a Starbucks here to Newman, and they're bringing it in place of the Taco Bell that used to be here. And if you're wondering why that is, essentially, long story short, the Taco Bell, even though when we first moved here was okay, over time it started to degrade. And what I mean by degrade, basically the workers started to care less and less and less. And people were complaining about finding things in the food that wasn't supposed to be there. They would complain about the conditions of the restaurant, of the restrooms, the attitude of the employees, so on and so forth. So basically, the FDA, I'm guessing, they came in, they saw what was going on, and said, "Nope, you're done. And the Taco Bell, basically here as a store, got shut down. Thus, that opened the door for Starbucks to finally come into Newman. And that's what's going on. Starbucks is coming here. And I bring this up because, like I said, somebody took a picture of the "We're hiring" flyer that was in the window of the soon-to-be Starbucks restaurant or dine-in, whatever you want to call it. And basically, they gave you instructions as to where and when, or not just when, but where online you can apply for the Newman store, regionally. So that's what I did. And the next morning on Thursday, I woke up, got a phone call, didn't know it was them until I saw the ID. They left a message. I called them back. And basically tomorrow, I'm going in for an interview to potentially, keep it in your prayers, Lord willing, work for Starbucks. That's right. I'm going in for an interview tomorrow, Lord willing, keep it in your prayers, that I'll be working for Starbucks, real soon. And what makes it interesting is I'm just right around the corner from where it's at. That's right. It's basically a 5 to 10 minute walk from where I live to where it's at. So it'll be no problem for me whatsoever. And the hours would work out perfectly. Because if I have to get up early in the morning and be there for opening, then so be it. That's not an issue. I can just walk it. If I have to be there mid-afternoon or mid-morning into afternoon, so be it. If I have to be there at closing, so be it. It's not a big deal. It's not a big issue. And I think, honestly, and I was telling my family this, I think they're looking at, directionally where I'm at and realizing, hey, this guy's just right around the corner. We could use him. He'd be perfect. Because one of the things, obviously, that you have to put on when you want to get hired is basically you got to let them know, hey, I'm willing to work any hours possible if you live nearby. But that also applies for all jobs you want to apply for, too. But, yeah, you get the idea. You get the idea. But anyway, that's what's going on there. And that to me, when it happens, and it will make things less complicated. Because even though I'll be working, my hours could be 4.5 hours, for all I know. They could be 4.5 hours, 6 hours, who knows, maybe 8, depending on how busy we are. But 4.5 to maybe 8 hours. And I could be home, in time to just relax a little bit, do some content, and be good to go. And I'll be making money, not just working, but also YouTubing, if you will. But yeah, as I said, keep it in your prayers that I get in there, because it'll help me out and help my family out in a huge, huge way. But yeah, that basically was a big old blessing in disguise as a gift, if you will, the following day that I was surprised by. And what's interesting is the last time I got a call like that was when I started working for the Walmart in Lawrence, Kansas. I went online, applied online, and guess what happened? I got called, that very day to potentially come in for an interview, and after I came in for that interview, I was good to go. So yeah, I am basically in that same kind of position now that I was then. So something's there. Something that God is directing me in is there. And Lord willing, keep it in your prayers, things are going to work out fine. Things are going to work out fine. But yeah, it was a great surprise, and I cannot wait for the opportunity to be interviewed and hopefully, God willing, keep it in your prayers, get into the Newman store. Because I think even though they appreciate those that, that live in Newman, that work at the Patterson stores and maybe even the Los Banos stores, even though they appreciate that they might want to transfer back over or transfer to the Newman store, I think they will like the idea of people coming in from within town, especially with the school year happening, to do some work. And I think that's the main focus for a lot of the hiring too. They want people that are going to be there during the day when kids are at school to fill in the gaps. So, I'm looking forward to it. And when I get in, and I know God's going to get me in, Lord willing, when I get in, they will train me. I'm already experienced as a cashier. They'll show me how to do the cashiering on their system, not a big deal. But I also know they're going to train me, I should say, to be a barista, basically how to make the coffee and stuff. So that's going to be fun. That's going to be fun to do. But yeah, that's happening. I cannot wait for that moment tomorrow. I can't wait for the interview tomorrow. I cannot wait. Keep it in your prayers that I get in. That I get in. But with that said, people say that social media can be a cesspool, right? They can say it can be a cesspool of junk, of trolls, of troublemakers, cyberbullies. Well, speaking of the Starbucks, and I'm sure maybe some of you have experienced this before with potential jobs that get talked about on social media. People put out we're hiring stuff and everything, and you get contact, and you apply and you get contacted and all that. But I'm sure you've dealt with this. You see, basically, not even a few days after I get the call, somebody decides to be a troll. They decide to be a troll, and not once but twice go online and say, oh, all the Newman positions are filled and everything. But they do it anonymously. And you can tell it's fake. You can tell it's fake just by the way they're just writing stuff. I mean, one person basically goes on there anonymously saying, oh, I'm the regional manager. All positions are full. Thank you. Bye. It's like, come on, you're not fooling anybody. We know who you are. Well, at least we know what kind of person you are. You're not fooling anybody. But yeah, there's people going onto the Newman Funnier Neighborhood Watch page trying to troll people, trying to be troublemakers by saying, oh, everything's been filled. But they're doing it anonymously. They're doing it anonymously. And you know how I know it's anonymous? Because of the fact that why would they call me for an interview? Why would they call anybody else for an interview, as well? Why would they do that? They wouldn't. And guess what? Other people have called them out about this too. Some people that will read this or would read these things would be like, but I just applied. I just applied. What's going on? No. Oh, how can I apply? No. And then people have to come out and say, don't worry, it's fake. These people are making stuff up. And you know what makes it even more noticeable that it's fake? I took a screenshot of one of those false posts, put it to the Google AI thing, and even the Google AI thing said, yeah, it's false. Because you need to hear it from Starbucks themselves before anybody else. You need to hear it from Starbucks themselves. So what this tells me is it's just a bunch of troublemakers. And this is just my opinion. This is just my opinion. I think these troublemakers are a bunch of teens, a bunch of young kids and teens that are either bored because they got nothing else to do outside play the video games and stuff like that, or they're a bunch of teens that are mad at the idea that they got to go back to school very soon and they're not looking forward to it, so they want to take out their misery on everybody else by basically posting false information like this. And it's like, this is why people, this is why people want to keep kids off social media, teens off social media, because they're not mature enough, they're not mentally mature enough to accept things as they are. Heck, I was even joking about this to myself in my mind, thinking about this to myself in my mind. I'm like, what do these people want? What do these kids want? Why would they do this? It was like, what do they want? Are they upset that the building that's going to be a Starbucks, it's not something they want? It's like, what do they want that building to be? A party area? A party zone? It's like, grow up. It's like, grow up. But yeah, my assumption is basically it's a bunch of young kids. It's a bunch of young kids, young teens that are either bored outside of playing the video games because they have nothing else to do, or they're mad and miserable basically they're mad, I should say, and they want to take out the misery on other people because they got to go back to school. That's basically what it could be. But yeah, I don't know if you guys have dealt with that, where you see that on the group pages, your neighborhood group pages. You're like, well, wait a minute. This person, my friend or my family member just told me they got contacted by this very company. Why is this out there? And then you find out it's fake. Again, this is why people look at Facebook and Twitter and Blue Sky as being cesspools of false information. And this is why you have a lot of these groups, and you have Congress and all of them wanting to get kids and teens off of social media because some of them just want to be troublemakers. But again, that's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. But when you read some of them, some of these false articles, just the way they're typed up, you can see exactly, not see, but you can tell, I should say, exactly who's behind it. But yeah, again, keep it. But I'm trying to find the right word to say. But yeah, very interesting week it's been, and like I said, keep it in your prayers. Keep it in your prayers that I get in, and I'm able to give my family good news this week, because this week was supposed to meet up for my third oldest nephew's 18th birthday. But it's not just his 18th birthday, it's also his going away party as well, because he's going to be going to college within a month at UC Santa Barbara. So, yeah, hopefully, God willing, and I know I'm going to be able to give them some good news that I'll be getting back to work, and it'll be for Starbucks. And I can tell you, as someone that lives in a family, is a part of a family that loves Starbucks, I can tell you honestly, I think this is going to be worth our while. I think it'll be worth our while. But pray again that I get in, and I believe I will. I believe God's going to get me in there. I truly do. But yeah, it's been an interesting week though, guys. That's been a very interesting week. Let me know what your thoughts are though on what I've had to say here with this vlog, audio vlog and everything. Comment down below, like the video, ring the bell for notification, subscribe to the channel, also share the video, guys. Also click on the links in the description to find my content elsewhere outside of YouTube, as well as click on the Teespring store link at the bottom of the description page to find merchandise you can't get anywhere else. But guys, I just wanted to come on here and do this little bit of a vlog for you, let you know what's going on, what's going to be happening, and all that. And again, keep it in your prayers that I get into Starbucks here in Newman, because it's right around the corner, real close to home. Keep it in your prayers, because I really would appreciate the opportunity to start working again. And that's all I can say, guys. But let me know what your thoughts are overall. Let me know if you've ever dealt with people trying to put out false information about, jobs that maybe you applied for and got an interview for and potentially got in for, or something like that happened with family members. Let me know if you've dealt with that. I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. But until next time, guys, I will talk to you later. God bless. Take care.